Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host on Around the Horn, Ray Flowers. Yes, I'm wearing a festive hat today, and why is that? Well, we're celebrating the two call-ups that everyone has been waiting to see in the National League. Anthony Rizzo and Trevor Bauer, both coming up this week for the Cubs and the Diamondbacks. Let's start out talking about Rizzo, the hitter. I've never seen so much excitement over a hitter that was so bad in his previous big league effort. Let's not forget that last season with the Padres, Anthony Rizzo was one of only 5 players in the 21st century, okay? One of only 5 guys who had 150 plate appearances and hit under 150. 5 guys have done that. That's not very good company to be in. He hit 141 with 1 home run and 128 at-bats. Now, people might say, oh, Ray, he's killing it this year at AAA. He'll be fine. He killed it last year at AAA. Last year's OPS at AAA was 1,056. This year it's 1,100, so it's slightly better. Pretty much the same thing, though. 342 batting average this year at AAA, 331 last year. 26 home runs at AAA last year, 23 at AAA this year. He's basically performed exactly the same this year as he did last year. And like I said, when he was brought up last year, catastrophic failure. Not saying it's going to happen again. He's more seasoned at this point. He's got more experience. But expecting him to hit the ground running, to be an all-star caliber player, to be a top 10 first baseman in a mixed league is just asking too much for me. In fact, I had a person today say, do I drop Goldschmidt to add Rizzo? And I'm like, tell me when Rizzo is hitting 290 with an 899 OPS and 10 home runs, then we can have a talk. I think Anthony Rizzo's hype machine is a little out of control. He's worth an ad in 12-team, 15-team leagues. Obviously, NL only leagues want to take a huge look at him. But keep those expectations in check. Until he proves it in the big leagues, tough to buy what he's done in the minor leagues. Trevor Bauer, biggest arm in the game. Everyone's excited, falling over themselves, going to the waiver wire, and with good reason. I mean, he's 11-1 in the minor leagues. His ERA is just barely 2. He leads all minor league pitchers with 116 strikeouts. He has got a flat-out dominating right arm. Comparisons to Tim Lincecum because of his size, because of his mechanics, and the performance, to be quite honest with you. But there's a caveat here. I don't doubt that Bauer will have success immediately because, again, he has that huge arm. But I am worried about the walks. That's like no one is talking about them. I mean, at AA and AAA this year, he's averaging 4.5 walks per 9 innings. It's a big number, okay? And there's a reasonable expectation that when he comes to the big leagues, if he keeps throwing pitches in the same manner he did in the minor leagues, that A, his strikeout rate will go down a little bit, but B, he may walk a few more guys. Because remember, big leaguers recognize pitches better than minor leaguers. It's one of the reasons they are big leaguers. That means those pitches that are diving and darting out of the zone that guys in the minors are swinging at, they may not swing at the big leagues. So if Bauer doesn't do a better job locating his pitches, he could run into a lot of trouble. And then secondly, he's only being called up because Joe Saunders is hurt. Rumors are that the Diamondbacks want to move Saunders, of course. But Saunders made 174 appearances at the big league level. Every single one of them has been as a starter. He's got like a 3.60 ERA and a 1.3 WHIP his last, since the start of last season. So he's pitched, fairly well anyway. So what did the Diamondbacks do when he's healthy? Is it possible that Bauer could be sent back down in a couple of weeks when Saunders is ready to go? It's a possibility, especially if he struggles. Just keep it in the back of your mind, though I do expect Bauer, again, to have a lot of success. Huge right arm. Kevin Youkilis, the other big story in the news, was dealt from one sock to the other sock, from the Reds to the Whites. No-cost move here, for the White Sox. They give up Brent Littlebridge, Zach Stewart. They get some money back to cover the contract of Youkilis. Good move, good pickup for the White Sox. Now, what does this mean for the fantasy value of Youkilis? It's to be determined. I mean, everyone's talking about Youkilis now as if he's all of a sudden a top 10 third baseman again. Now, while I think it's certainly possible that the rest of the way he does become a top 10 fantasy third baseman, the move to Chicago is not just going to make things different. I mean, we've got to deal with a lot of things with Youkilis. Is he going to try to prove the Red Sox wrong and try too hard? Is he going to try to prove the White Sox right and try too hard? Is he going to be comfortable in his new environment? Is he going to be able to turn around a performance this season that has seen him produce a career worst strikeout rate, a career worst walk rate, and a career worst ground ball rate? Those are 3 things that I tend to think are just a result of small sample size and some bad performance this year. But again, career low in walks, career worst in strikeouts, career high in ground ball rate. And we're talking going from a 36% ground ball rate to 50%, which is a massive change. Is that because his bat slows through the zone? Is that because he's injured? Is that because he's lost it? All those questions need to be answered with a 33-year-old Youkilis who has averaged only 111 games played the last two seasons, excuse me. Well worth the ad by the White Sox. Again, I think he's got the talent. He's only 33 to still rebound. A career 287 hitter with almost a 390 on-base percentage. Good ad, good pickup in the fantasy game. Just give him a little bit of time to work into things. A few other names here before I send you on your way here at baseballguys.com. Chase Utley, and here's the quote, his knees are feeling the best they've felt in years. And that was reported yesterday, to which one of the people I was speaking to quipped, well, yeah, they must feel pretty good for June 24 since he hasn't played a single game this year. And I don't know if his knees feel the best they've ever felt or have felt in years. I don't know if we can buy that or not, but he is close to returning. The expectation is he could be back on the field this Wednesday, which is great news. I think that Utley could be a top 10 second baseman the rest of the way. I'm not picking him up expecting him to be that. I would still think he could be a top 15 guy as long as he can play 3/4 of the time. But he's still got the skills that I'm very intrigued with. The knees are obviously key. Huge risk. You don't go drop Aaron Hill or Kelly Johnson to pick up Chase Utley. But if you've got room on the bench, if you've got an extra spot, you need some help in the middle infield, Chase Utley is a good guy to take a gamble on. Jimmy Rollins is getting hot. They've got Hunter Pence around. Ryan Howard's getting close to return. That Phillies offense could potentially take off in the second half of the season. Everth Cabrera, another middle infield option in NL-only leagues and even mixed leagues at this point for his speed. 11 steals for the Padres this year in just 35 games. 718 at-bats in his career, 48 stolen bases. That's obviously a very impressive rate. He's also doing a good job in the month of June, hitting in the 270s, almost 280 with a 373 on-base percentage. Getting on base, giving you a little bit of average, stealing a lot of bases, no power at all. But if you're looking for a boost, Everth Cabrera can bring that with his wheels. And then finally, another guy that might be able to boost your squad is John Buck. Now, I say that name, and you better be in a two-catcher league that's at least 12 teams, maybe even 15 teams, or an NL-only league. But John Buck, who's hitting 175 with 6 home runs, has actually been white hot the last couple of days. The last 4 games, a couple of home runs, 5 RBIs, 5 runs scored for the Marlins catcher. Not going to help you in the batting average category, but he does have some pop. 18 home runs, 62 RBIs were his averages the last 2 seasons. He's warming up a little bit. Maybe he ends up providing enough to be a decent second catcher in those scenarios that I laid out. I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Thanks for joining me on Around the Horn. Talk to y'all again soon.